Hello everyone, and welcome to Paint Minis Live. I'm your host, Bill T, and tonight we're going to try and finish up our first batch of kind of soldier models, some of the stuff we've been working on. We got most of the, like, giant mechanized kind of robot dudes. If I can get the camera to kind of come back to me here. Yeah, we got these guys done. They're kind of like super soldier guys, or like genetically modified people trapped in a suit. Is from what I understand it to be in the lore. But we've also got a whole bunch of like gray trooper dudes, and those guys are kind of what I'm trying to finish. I think there might be. I don't think there are any more in the box that haven't been done. So just trying to kind of get some of those guys out of the way for our project here. That will basically mark the halfway point, I think, is getting these guys done. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to do. As some more people kind of trickle in and we get into our painting stuff, you know, depending on when we peak out here with people that decide to join, I'll tell you guys a bit more too about the firefighting stuff and how that went. If you were around on YouTube or on Discord and you saw the community post, you know that I didn't pass my test, unfortunately, and that was kind of tough, but it was, you know, I gave it my best shot, and I'm proud of the fact that I went and did the firefighter's physical ability test. And it's really tough. Neither one of the firefighters in my family, they joined before it was a requirement, and neither one of them said that they would probably be able to pass, even at the time. Well, they went through it, but they were already on, so they didn't have to like worry about it. Well, one of them did, the other one didn't, and they said that they wouldn't have made it on, but. It's like, you know, it's just tough when you want something really bad and it doesn't go your way. But that's beside the point. We're here to paint for now. We'll talk about it a little bit later. I'm going to get my other camera up here. We're getting a little festive around the studio. We've got the blinky lights up, or the, you know, Christmas lights on the Monument Hobbies paint rack back there, and a little kind of cool new backdrop for the holiday season. I'm sure at some point I'll be able to throw up some kind of Christmassy spirited stuff around for music wise, but we're just gonna kind of rock our usual playlist around here of royalty free whatever I can get my grubby mitts on, till I actually have some time to produce my own music, which I want to do really bad, to be honest. Music production is kind of another hobby for me. We got a couple of folks joining us from YouTube here. Feel free to say hello. I don't bite. I know my community doesn't either. We're all just a whole bunch of nerds here, and we'd love to hear from you. Anywho, I'm gonna get rolling here, and we'll get that extra camera in the stream. We'll go ahead and take down our custom banner and throw up that bad boy. There we go. Okay. I haven't had time to actually come down here and get the paint desk ready and rocking, but tomorrow I definitely will be, because I won't be streaming that night because I've got a lesson with Kenny Boucher from Next Level Painting, and I'm super stoked about that. And I think it's going to be just a wonderful time. Kenny's a super accomplished painter, and I'm excited to work with him. So we've got our mini here. We'll get a nice kind of close up of what we're working on tonight. This is our master model actually here. that you can see. This is kind of the paint job that we're shooting for the rest of our kind of ground slogger foot soldiers. I think this guy turned out pretty well. And so that's kind of what we're shooting for with the rest of them. I like to have one model that I paint up to completion just to see, just to have as a reference. And then I'll just kind of recreate the same steps that I did, you know, over and over again per model. All right, so for this guy, we've got some of the browns on him already. These guys are basically all black from the like look of the lore and all of those things. I think we did some highlights with a with Pro Acryl Silver. We also did let's see here, what else do we do on this bad boy? We need some transparent red as well. So we've got some of that. Those are for the 2 shoulder pauldrons with iconography. And then we need kind of need a lighter gray here. Yeah, bright neutral gray is what we'll be using for some of the highlights around the uniform. And then once we put a little bit of wash over that, it should blend it all together and make it look really nice. So the color palette's pretty simple. Everything else is pretty standard when it comes to our troopers here. So I'm going to go ahead and get our kind of uniform highlight color on the paint shaker, and we'll be ready to go here in just a moment. In the meantime, I hope everybody's been well. Everybody's ready for the holidays. God knows I'm not. I never am, man. I always can come up too quick. There we go. That should be enough. I always like to shake lighter colors, especially ones that are based on whites, a little bit longer than others, because the white paint tends to be a little bit thicker, and trying to thin that down is kind of tough. I think this one's pretty good. All right, so I'm just gonna put a couple drops here on my palette. Nothing crazy. You can see the small amount of paint here that I'm using, and I'll just kind of reload that when I need to. Since I'm only going to be painting for about an hour tonight, I'm not going to use a wet palette. It just doesn't make any sense to do that right off the bat. I got a little bit of water on my brush here, and some people say thin the entire amount of paint on the palette. For me, it's just per brush stroke, really. You know, because I'm rinsing my brush kind of constantly to keep it moist, keep the capillary action moving. Makes for a better, some better painting. So I'll do a little test on my brush here to see what the consistency is. I think we can kind of get away with that, as far as I can tell. I'm going to back the camera up for everybody just a little bit. We need to be too tight here. So with our guy here, as I kind of just get a nice point to my brush, we're going to go ahead and just start picking out little areas around the like creases, lips underneath, in areas that the light would hit. This is going to give kind of some stark contrast. I'm just using very, very light pressure here to kind of build up, you know, these very thin lines. A little bit thicker than I wanted to on that one, but that's okay. If you think about it, when you're painting, your brush is essentially your, let's see, what a shadow hit there. Not really. Maybe about to there. But your brush is essentially just a tool to get your paint applied to the model, and it doesn't need to be anything more than that. So the lighter the pressure, the better, because then you also know that your paint's thinned and you're working a little bit easier on yourself. You're painting. Kind of carry over some of these highlights around his pants here. I'm just gonna kind of keep following some lines. There'll come a point where I'll have to decide on some of these, but they'll get dulled down with the wash, because I'm just going to use black wash to tone down this gray. I kind of prefer working from the pot. And so if I don't have a color, I usually don't mix a ton of different colors to kind of make that happen. And I can use a wash to just kind of change the hue of the colors as I'm working. All right, and like that, we're looking pretty good. We're gonna give his helmet a little bit of shine here. There we go. Kind of a semicircle ellipse going on. There's too many places on the front. I'm going to highlight here, maybe just a little bit on his shoulder. There we go. All right. So, I mean, these are for a board game, so I'm not going to go super crazy on the highlight phase, but as you can see, it's very stark right now. We'll put a wash over it, and it will it'll definitely start to come together. We can see that right now. I'll give you guys a quick little preview. I'm sure I've got my wash here somewheres. Where did you run off to, buddy? Where did you run off to? I had the, okay, here we go. So, a little bit of Papa G Dubs, good old Nolan Oil. I have a hard time moving away from these, but I picked up a set of Army Painter quick wash to use with Kenny's teaching curriculum, so we might see some different results there, but now I'm just gonna kind of wash over this guy, give him a nice kind of generous helping here. Make the dark areas darker, the light areas lighter. I mean, it's already kind of dark gray under there, but this black is going to give us a bit more oomph to it. Kind of dull down our highlights a little bit too. That's one thing with acrylic washes, you're going to be kind of coffee staining as you work, so I'm not super that. This is one point where you might want that if you've kind of gone to the deep end like I did with a very light color. use this wash to kind of give yourself a bit more depth. Make these guys look a little bit less parade ready. When I was playing the game, I kind of didn't, it looked like most of the soldiers were like super parade ready, and that was kind of the vibe I was getting. But as this dries, you can already see it's a little more prevalent to the camera, but we'll throw up the chat just in case. But I'll give you a nice tight shot here. You can see as this dries, it's drying matte and it's drying really dark. So even though we were using like a super light color right here, this stuff, we ended up using the wash to turn it into that, which kind of looks a bit more kind of together with the model. And since it's kind of an all black paint scheme, we can use that to our advantage and kind of change the color of our model as we work. So we'll check back on that guy in a couple of minutes here. Well, at least this part of the process. I think the next step I'm going to do for this guy is we need a little bit of black. Actually, because I forgot to do his boots. What's going on, Lightmane? Nice to hear from you. I've been behind on my communiques with just about everybody, so I'm sorry if I haven't checked in with you for a while. Let's see here. Yeah, I've got my black. I'm gonna stick that on the paint shaker and do this guy's boots, because soldiers have nice black boots. We got 5 live chat lounge cats hanging out with us tonight. Thanks for chilling down here in the paint studio. I've been doing all right. So I didn't pass my firefighter's physical fitness test, unfortunately. I'm kind of waiting to see who all joins, but yeah, I've been training like a madman for that test. And it was just tough. It was tough. I had 10 seconds left on the stair climb, and I was breathing really hard. I felt like if I could just get through the stair climb, I could get through the rest of the test and like actually pass it. But I tripped on the treads of the stair mill as I was doing this test, because you're wearing 75 pounds with a weighted vest and then two shoulder sandbags essentially, and you're doing a stair climb at 60 beats a minute for 3 minutes. And 3 minutes and 20 seconds. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you actually get to doing it, it's really brutal. And that one step, I felt my shoe, it was just the bottom of my boot. I clipped it on the tread of my boot, and it was enough to, I tried to catch myself, but by the time I was catching myself with the next tread, my leg couldn't handle the weight of it, and I fell over on the flipping stair mill. It felt like a rookie mistake, but it was a really humbling experience, it was really humbling because there was a couple of fire engines there from the local station with people that I knew, and I was surrounded by uniforms with all these people I knew, and all of them gave me a pat on the back, and I was really devastated. And yeah, they all kind of just they walked me to the exit room, and they sat there and kind of they talked to me. I tried to talk as much as I could, but it just stunk. It really stunk. But I'm not gonna let it stop me. I might be a little blue about it for now, but I'm not gonna let it stop me. Kind of try and tackle that dream because I have a really, kind of a passion for doing firefighting too, and I've missed it since I've been out of school. It's just been a little bit difficult to get back on that path. But yeah, that's basically what happened. I got through the door, and a simple mistake knocked me out of the test. And unfortunately, they have to treat it. It's not unfortunately. They should treat everybody the same and give them the same shot at the test, and they did. I had my one shot and I messed up, and you can't treat anybody differently. So I ended up, having that result. But I'll be okay. I've got already some plans in the works for, moving on from that and trying to find another way in, so to speak, to doing the firefighting stuff. So a minor setback, but enough that I needed to take Monday and just recover, because that was pretty difficult. We're gonna use transparent red here, just because I like the fact that it doesn't turn pink, but it leaves behind a very nice bright red. And you don't necessarily, if you're using black or something really dark underneath it, it doesn't change the, even if you kind of miss your mark, you don't have to worry about it showing up on the color underneath quite as much. So already our guy is looking pretty loud and proud. When will I be taking the test again? They run it once a year. So once a year you get a shot. So that was kind of a big blow to realize that I gotta wait a year, or I gotta find another way in, or another pathway in there. Yeah, thanks, Robert. I appreciate it. It's just one of those things in life where you gotta roll with the punches and just deal with it and move on, and take the loss, but take it with grace. The other thing that kind of stunk was the dude that I was hoping to get hired by is sitting there watching this, and I know I'm still gonna apply, and it might not be on. I might not get hired because there's going to be other people, and if they have better credentials, they're just going to go with that person. But if in the off chance they pick me on a character, just based on character alone, and I get in and they give me the time to do the test again, well, on probation, because as a firefighter, you don't actually get in and hired right off the bat. You have to be a firefighter for a year or two, so you get probation. But if I was doing probation and I was in, this is the guy I'd be talking to. And the last thing I wanted to do was lose my cool, because that's one thing. If you're going into civil service or some type of sensitive job like that, the last thing you want to do is show your boss that you have a habit of losing your cool in situations where bad things happen to you. Because what if you call the fire department and there's you're having tragedy or some kind of bad thing happening, the last thing you want is some dude who can't keep it together. And I was struggling to just keep it together and not bawl my eyes out in front of everybody there, even though I know they probably would have understood. It was still not the thing it was definitely not the thing I should be doing at that point, and I was just trying. I was just trying. Like, I have never felt a lump in my throat, like, so big in a long time. And it also kind of stunk because the test was on my birthday. So I biffed the test, and then it's like, all right, let's go have happy birthday celebration. Um, yeah, that's kind of what I want to do, right? It was good. I made the best of it, though. I made the best of it. Everybody kind of knew I was going to be a little blue, so we kept the conversation light and just kind of, accepted that this was going to be a weird birthday and not the usual hunky-dory kind of thing you'd picture for having a, little birthday celebration. Um, but that's sometimes what you do. That's sometimes what you do. So we're just going through, we're getting some black on his boots. Make him look nice and parade ground kind of ready. Alright. Hey, what's going on, Dungeon Minister? Good to see you, good to see you. Great job on your wolf, by the way. I saw the pictures, and I saw that you responded, but I just thought I'd say it again because I thought that was really well done. Dungeon Minister was painting a wolf the other night, and I was able to catch it. I was like, holy man, it's late for him, but I'll watch it. I'll be there for him. And he did it with craft paints too, and I was like really seriously impressed. I couldn't have made Apple Barrel, which is kind of the local brand hobby paint. I couldn't have made that look like that if I tried. But he was able to make something that looked very well done with those kinds of paints, and I think that takes a skill all of its own. I like black boots and I cannot lie. There you go. Yeah. I did put a post up about the Viking Hat GM. I got to admit, what a trainer he is. I had a wonderful time with Kyle. I learned a lot. I also learned that I should have been doing a lot more than I did at the start, way earlier. But that's okay. The main part I needed from him was like information. And yeah, the main thing I needed from Kyle was like information, like and some guidance on where I should be putting my efforts. And he gave that, and he gave it 110%. So I gotta thank him for helping me get to the level that I reached in such a short amount of time. I mean, it was kind of ridiculous, the amount of time and the transformation that I had. I lost like 60, 70 pounds during the training process. I'm feeling the best I've felt in a long time, which is really good. Need a little bit of extra water in this. Let's catch up with the chat here. I bet you have done 1,000 times better. Just add a couple thousand layers of paint and something finally look decent. Hey, sometimes that's all you gotta do. If it looks good to you, my motto is like, do what looks good to you and just go with it. If that's what you're looking for, the people looking at it will be happy. For some folks, that's a real simple paint job. For others, it's a bit more in depth. That's just what it is. But I think you did a lovely job. we're just following some lines here on the back of this guy's jacket and such. Maybe a bit on his arms here. Just some cheap highlights on this on these kind of standard Marine guys. I mean, they're gonna be, people are gonna look at them, but I don't think their entire focus is gonna be on the glob of units that are coming their way. I think it's gonna be mostly on their, you know, player characters is kind of what I'm guessing here. So that's where I'm gonna put most of my effort. These guys are kind of just riffraff on the tabletop. They're gonna get ousted pretty quick, I think. Hey, what's going on, Calvinoni, the one and only? Good to see you, good to see you. I'll catch up with the chat here in just a second. Gotta level up, says Robert Phillips. Yeah, indeed. I definitely felt like I leveled up with the whole training process there. And then Dungeon Minister, Dirty Basement Terrain's motto 2, the only person you have to worry about is you, because it's your... Yeah, that's true. That's true. It is your thing. It is your thing. Don't be afraid to do your thing. Yeah, that's right, Cal. I didn't make it this time around, which really stunk, but it was, you know, it's all right. I'll make it one way or another. I'm bound and determined. So I'm not gonna let it. I'm not gonna let it affect me too much. I'm gonna feel a little blue about it for a while and let that just kind of sink in and pass, because I don't want to, you know, deal with that baggage, so to speak. I just want to move on. I want to feel it and move on. And thanks for the encouragement there, Dungeon Master. I appreciate it. I think third time's the charm too. Some of those, you know, I'm not 19 anymore, and you know, some of the kids that are there at the school, you know, they're 19. It seemed like the ones that were super into sports were the ones that were able to actually get through the test. Everybody else, the ones that were going for their first time, I didn't see too many folks actually make it through. So I wasn't the only one. Which I'm kind of happy about. We got a nice glob of white on our palette here for doing some of these icons on this guy, because it looks like I kind of spaced that a little bit. So we're about halfway through Wolfenstein here. I think I need to make sure that this gets done sometime, at least in January, I believe. So I think the biggest thing, and kind of why I started on these troopers, was because they're the most numerous in the entire box. But sometime in the near future here, I'm probably gonna end up introducing another project and doing it in parallel with the end, essentially, of Wolfenstein here, because we have so many models to paint. And it wasn't like I was trying to get these projects done strictly at the end of this year, but I would like to move on and get a head start on PML's paint schedule for next year. That would be very nice. Trying to nail these skinny little lines. There we go. Yeah, volunteer fire departments. Let me tell you, I've looked into those, and like, because I do want to be professional, and don't get me wrong, there are like volunteer departments out there will slay professional butt all day. Oh boy, trying to get little lines. The volunteer departments, though, since basically anybody can apply because they're volunteer, you end up with like a hiring competition that is basically it's really tough because you tell them that you're interested and like what you're doing, where you're planning on going with it, and then they put your name on a list that's like you are number 150 at the bottom of the list, and you gotta wait until all 150 names have been gone through to actually get to your, to get a chance, essentially, to get into their department, depending on where you live. I mean, there's plenty of rural places, but then now you're talking about a physical move. You got to find a job that will support essentially your rent or whatever you got going during that time period, and gather up your experience. And then they're probably not going to go after you as a firefighter because the city that they're tied to is going to dump about 12 grand into you, and that's just gear. That's not even training. That's just the gear. Is like 12 grand to outfit a structure firefighter. Hey, thanks for stopping in, Lightmane. Always good to see you. Hope you're doing well with your writings out there. But yeah, it's like 12 grand to essentially outfit a fireman. And they're not going to invest that if they know that they're not going to get you for X amount of years. It's just too expensive. Which I can totally understand. So next up, we're gonna give this guy a good old wash. Throw some transparent red on him, and move on to his next of kin. Let's see. What's going on, Frosted Fists? Mythos is in the house. Mythos, if you haven't seen it, I just watched the secret level. It's on Amazon Video. They have one called No Fear. It's the Ultramarines kind of themed episode that came out. And it seems like these are just short stories from various gaming universes. There's one for Dungeons and Dragons too. I haven't checked that one out yet. But the one for 40K I watched just before the stream. Holy man, that was good. That was really good. Mythos being our resident 40K painter here. I think you would find a super huge kick out of that animation, because it's wild, and it's really well done too. Like art style, everything, just out of the park. Giving this guy just a quick coat of Nuln Oil to darken things a little bit further. And bring our highlights kind of back into spec with the rest of our paint job here. Dull it down just a little bit, friends. Dull it down just a little bit. What's going on, a nerd's nerd? Hey, I think there's interest out there. I think, when it comes to writing and books, I thought it was a really good idea how you presented them in an audio format too. That's what I've been enjoying, bit by bit. Unfortunately for me, I get pulled in so many directions that sometimes it's tough to keep up. And I have so many different facets of hobby that I'm doing, but I do look forward to getting back into your book. I had about an hour of personal time a night there while I was doing the training stuff for firefighting, so I hadn't been able to use that time like I did previously. And I haven't been doing as many deliveries at work, so that's another factor too. I usually listen to those things while I'm out on delivery because keeps me busy. Oh yeah, hey, I'll have to check that out. That's how I write my sermons. Nice. Yeah, just dull it down. Like so this color that we're using here, when you put it on the mini, it's very bright. This is a dark gray undertone, and then if you use that, you can kind of see now how the super almost white that we put on there has darkened down and kind of naturally kind of worked itself in with the rest of the dark color that's already there. So it looks kind of like a highlight, but a bit more realistic to the eye. If you were gonna just put these on a tabletop, it'd look a bit more, a bit better in my opinion, anyways. All right, moving right along. We've got so far we've got how many? 3 of these guys out of we got 4 more after this guy we just set on the tabletop. All right, well, hang out if you wanna. Nerd's nerd, how you been? What you been up to? Out of curiosity, it's been a while since I've seen you. Prototype for the Avatar movie. Ooh. And now we start the process all over again. This is batch painting at its finest, friends. I highly doubt it. I think that would be the last person I would think would say something like that. I did get a chance to catch some of the story progression for your last episode there, Dungeon Minister. I'm happy to see that you're back up and running with your editing stuff, and I'm interested to hear if DaVinci works out for you at all. I was kind of looking around, and because I knew you were looking for, some audio, or not audio, but video editing stuff, and I was like, man, I wonder if there would be a good option out there for him that's maybe a bit more on the complex end, but not super user unfriendly. Because I've messed around with a couple of different types of them. DaVinci is pretty heady, but as long as you know where to go with the stuff you want to do, it's pretty easy. Plus, make your life easier with being able to save like presets and stuff. So, anyways, I'm excited to see if that works out for you or not. All right. Looks like this guy's still got his browns that need to be done. I think at some point I should really throw up like a I should throw up a like paint schedule or something for PML and like what projects are going on here at the paint desk in some format. I'm not sure how I would tackle that quite yet, but maybe some kind of graphic or something I could put up. I'm not sure. But if you haven't heard it already, we've got after Wolfenstein here, or maybe sometime in the middle with Wolfenstein, we got some minis that are going to head up to Canada with the Dungeon Minister himself. We also have Halo Flashpoint to do, and I'm going to make a whole stink about that because that was basically my childhood, was sitting in front of a game console playing Halo. And then what else do we have to do? Oh yeah, and then the Essex Miniatures Dragon, which says it's from 1986 on the stamp, but I'm not sure if that's from when the mold was created or when this particular dragon was created. But the sculpt is super retro. So we'll be doing another dragon this year. It's kind of become my calling card, and I'm just accepting it as like I will be doing a dragon. You know, every once in a while here on the channel, just because that's kind of what we started with, and it's a fun homage, so to speak. Sorry, just trying to keep my lines nice and straight. Hey, take care, Lightmane. Generating some graphics while you're listening. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I hear you. It's one of those things, you gotta find the right time to Dungeon Minister. You gotta find the right times to switch over on a workflow, so to speak. Sometimes it's not an easy transfer. I can't imagine if I was going to make a huge change to the Paint Minis Live web store or something like that. I couldn't imagine doing that like at the holiday right now, just because I don't really want to mess with that right in the middle of this. So if you're wondering about, like, you know, doing like black outfits and stuff, my biggest advice is just go with kind of a grayscale color palette and then work from there. You see it a lot. People do. I'm not quite there yet with things like wet blending and things like that, but you'll see people out there who have had more hours behind the brush than I do pull off some crazy stuff, and it looks like it's black, but actually it's just it's just kind of a monochromatic paint scheme that goes from black to very light gray. And it looks black because you'd think anything shiny and black would look like that. And it does. If you've ever seen like leather or a cape or something like that made out of something somewhat reflective, or just the way that a black item would show up like that. It's kind of fun. It's like painting with a black hole. I have thought about that, like picking up, oh boy, what is it called? Is it Mushu Black? It's the world's blackest paint. And it is so dark that it sucks in light around it, and it looks like you're looking at just nothing but a complete shadow. It's very cool, but good lord, it is dark. It's very dark paint. Okay. Switch over to a little bit of white here for the icons. These guys are actually going pretty quick. Squirrel Hermit was painting the other day. Where do I know Squirrel Hermit from? I think I've heard of Squirrel Hermit. I think maybe Squirrel Hermit was... I don't know if they've been around here. We're off to the races, folks. I've found my groove. We're ripping these guys out lickety split. I need transparent brown though for doing the leathers on these guys. We've got 6 folks hanging out with us tonight. What do you know? What do you know? Straight up mensch. Yeah. I won't be streaming tomorrow night because I got that class with Kenny from Next Level tomorrow night. Friday night we'll see what happens. Might do a stream then. I'm thinking maybe this weekend there will be I might do a pop-up stream just to get some paint, some painting done, because I really gotta make sure this project gets back to Brian at some point. I stalled out at the beginning of it. I did the hounds, the 3 hounds first, but man, I was just in such a kind of a bit of a turmoil. My feet were off the ground. There was a lot of things flying up in the air with life at that point in time, and I just stalled out on the project. I think he gave me a deadline just so that I'd get working on it. But now that I've kind of got some stability, I'm like, okay, well, if he really needs it back, I should get it back to him. So, 15 mil minis. There you go. The answer is none. It could not be more black. I think it is called Mushu Black. I'm gonna look that up to make sure I'm not putting my foot in my mouth. Let's see here. No, I don't think it's actually Mushu Black. I'm literally sitting here Googling it for everybody. I think they said Musu. It's not Mushu, it's Musu. Musu black. This is the world's most. This is the darkest paint in the world. Let's see if I can get screen share going here. Yeah. So you get a 100 ml bottle, which would be perfect for miniature painting. For 25 euros, it looks like. But yeah, it absorbs 99.4% of light in the visible light spectrum. And it's acrylic, so it's like I could totally work with this. But like, yeah, look at this mannequin. The definition, this is even, this is black. That is really black. That is a black hole. You like it would take all the definition out of your model too. So it's like, holy man. What's going on, Wave of Mutilation? Good to see you, good to see you. But yeah. That's definitely dark. That is super dark. Nozzle size is by through an airbrush. 0.5 shouldn't require thinning. Requires some thinning with water to prevent clogging. I just don't know what I would even use this for, beyond just kind of a party trick or, spike of interest for views. But anyways, that's Musu black, and it is ridiculously black. Like, look at that apple. They painted it in black, put it on a black background. This guy's holding it with a glove painted in it, and it's like just creepy. It's just weird. Yeah, 15 mil, that'd be pretty crazy. And yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I would do with it at 15 mil. Especially 28 mil maybe. You could do shadows with it. I don't know. Is that something out of the folks that are still hanging around? Is that something that you would be interested in? Should I pick up a bottle if I can, get it here in the States? Should I pick up a bottle of Musu black and see if we can actually paint with it? See if it's a useful tool in the paint studio here. It is kind of expensive. $25 for a single bottle is a little spendy, but I guess I could take one for the team in the future here if folks think they'd be interested in seeing that. Painting minis with the world's blackest black. I think it's been done before. It would definitely not be an original idea, that's for sure. But we could do it. Kind of getting to work on the leather components here, using a transparent brown just because I kind of want it to be dark. You might want to Wave. You might want to have your monitor go to a therapist. I think therapy might be in order for your monitor. Go bring it to like the micro center therapist. Or like the Best Buy Geek Squad therapy for PCs and electronic components. I hear talk therapy is very healthy. It's very, very healthy for electronics. get a shadow of, get some shadows or wraiths. Yeah, there's some pretty killer wraiths and such in the G-dubs line. I think I actually have one in that box of minis that you gave me at Clericon, so that might be kind of cool. But yeah, it'll definitely be a shadow, that's for sure. I hear you there, Wave of Mutilation. There you go. Anyone know about the movie Three Amigos? I need some one-liners. That is a good question. I haven't seen that movie in so long. I think I've seen it before, though. And I will say it is a very good movie. I did enjoy it. Isn't it D'Artagnan, Porthos, and somebody else, right? I think. I always feel like every once in a while here in the paint studio, it's like nerd trivia night. I'm not always on the winning team. Okay. I think that's kind of where we need to be. Oh yeah, the leg guards. Leg guards gotta get liquored up. There we go. I think D'Artagnan was definitely one of the Three Amigos, though. Like, I'm thoroughly convinced that that was one of them. There we go. Spaceballs, man. That's one that I haven't watched in a long time, too. A little bit more white. Cal, how is it going all the way out in California way? I hope you're well. Saw something crazy on the internet the other day too involving California. Helicopter fire hydrants, I guess is what they're calling it. Helicopter hydrants. They're essentially water reservoirs where helicopters can pick up water, and it gets stored in a tank, and it's just called on demand, and then fills up a giant reservoir for the helicopter to bring a bucket to for doing wildland firefighting out in California. And I was like, holy man, that's kind of cool, but also, you know, I can see why it's needed. Dang, a little bit of a misstroke here. It's cold. Cal's doing better. Good. I was more or less wondering, okay, we're going to play this the hard way, I see. I was more or less, yeah, wondering, you know, if you had gotten over your sickness there. because that's never fun. I don't wish that on anybody. And certainly, at least I'm not friends either. Yeah, I hear that about de-icing the windshield. Luckily, we just got a vehicle with remote start, and like, for the first time in life, and it has been nice. It's been really nice to turn that sucker over in the morning. Oh, I almost forgot his gloves. That's an important thing. Keep, like, little bits and pieces here and there. Remote start equals stole car. Fair enough. So remember not to remote start the car. Got it. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely places like that, that's for sure. When I stopped in Indiana on my way up there and on the way back, I was pretty conscious of that too. I didn't use the remote starter when I was in Indiana. Kind of for that same reason. The place in Indiana where I was at was like even the stoplights and stuff are kind of just a suggestion there, because if there's anybody even potentially nearby where you're crossing that intersection, the last thing you want to do is get carjacked. So it's always like you like slow down before the line, and the cops watch it do it. And as long as you don't cross the line before the light turns green, you're good. So you're kind of playing this chicken game of cat and mouse, because you don't want somebody running out and trying to pop open your car. Okay. This guy should be pretty good. I think he's ready for the wash phase now. Got 4 of these guys left. I don't think I'm going to be able to get through them tonight. They might actually be left for the pop-up stream. I've been trying to finish all these little soldier guys for like quite a while. That's okay though. So part of the, another reason why I use the washes is just to like literally reinforce the shadows, especially using black. And it's another reason why I don't usually prime black either, is because I can work lighter or darker with a gray, and emphasize various parts of the model based on that. But I don't have to worry about getting back to like a mid-tone or something. I can just deal with darkening or lightening areas that I want to emphasize. The GTA is crazy for car theft. They end up in shipping containers bound for Saudi Arabia. I haven't heard of Saudi Arabia too much. I have heard of China. And I have heard of other, like, Vietnam maybe, or other kind of like Southeast Asian countries. I've heard them going there. Saudi Arabia though, don't know quite about that one. But I know it happens. It wouldn't surprise me if they end up all over the world, really. I'm gonna think of it. Like, that's just kind of that trade for you. At one point, I was a little freaked out. I had myself convinced that I needed to make sure that I had some type of jamming device, because I had seen that people were using. They were literally putting antennas on their car that could transmit rotating signals that would listen for the transmission from the car and the transmission from your receiver in the house, and if they timed it right, they could start your car and unlock it before the next transmission was sent from the key fob to the car, and then essentially just spoof your key fob to get in, and then they nick your car and run away with it. But I just had to realize that, if you worry about everything in life, you're just gonna sit there worrying all the time. By the way, Dungeon Minister, I gotta talk with you at some point, one-on-one though, about Bob Johnny's game and figuring out what to do there. Now that I'm kind of back and in the swing of things and past some of the firefighting stuff, I do have to take a hot minute and see if I can get in contact with Bob Johnny's publisher, so to speak. His talent manager. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm painting off the camera again, everyone. What else is new? Mythos, if you're still here, are you still on the road, buddy? Are you or are you back at the studio again? Just out of curiosity, I know you said you were bringing some of the custodies along with you. Just wondering how that went, painting on the road. Let's catch up with the chat, shall we? I'm painting smaller soldiers of the dead, says Calvinoni. Well, have fun with that. I like doing the undead because they are sometimes quick and simple, if you make them, because you can make them look super grody and dead really, really fast. Especially after doing the Horde of the Damned, I think I would be much more apt to, if I did it a second time, I could probably breeze through that a lot faster than I did the first time, just because I didn't really quite know where I was going with that until I was basically painting them. Our solution is to drive a Kia Forte. Hey, my first car was a Kia Spectra, so you got the Forte. That was a luxury edition, man. There you go. 1/72nd scale. Good lord, that's tiny. Well, maybe not. Let's see. one. Let's see if I can get a comparison image. Well, 1/72 scale isn't crazy. That's like what? That's somewhere between HO and S scale if you're looking at like trains. So, I mean, that's not super crazy. That would still be difficult, more difficult. I definitely like my 28 mil, but I'm not sure where that falls in between. Oh no, that yeah, 1/72 scale. Comparators. Yeah, let's see here. We've got. Yeah, that's actually pretty small. That's pretty small. You're right next to that 15 mil kind of tiny army scale right there, and then you kind of move up into the 28 mil area. So yeah, 22, so not far off, but just for the folks out there that are wondering what all of this nerd speak is, like, if you look at this particular picture right here, this is your Warhammer 40K Games Workshop Stormtrooper, I guess. So, which is something I'm super familiar with. That's, you know, that's the scale here of this this Poxwalker, and we're talking about something that comes up to basically here, like right in this area. So basically, this dude's leg is the size of one of those soldiers, and that's like kind of nuts to me. That's like, I guess I have the easy mode painting. I can't even imagine some of the dudes that do like historical stuff too with that. But yeah, so they're pretty small. They're pretty small. Little minis. I think I'm gonna save these guys for another night, to be honest. I'm looking at another one and I'm like, man, I don't know if it's already like 9:48. I was supposed to wrap up at 9:30. I kind of want to just keep chatting for a little bit and then kind of wrap it up from there. Let's do that. All right. So doing them easy mode, are you doing them with the contrast stuff? I saw something really cool. I saw something really cool on the internet today too. I saw a company that was doing speed paint markers, and I looked at it and I was like, man, I almost want to figure out a way that I could do that with just regular standard acrylic paints, like stick it in a marker. But the thing that I realized is that what they're doing actually is they're buying blank watercolor markers, because the speed paints that you can get from like Army Painter or Contrast from G-Dubs or whatever, it's thin. It's really thin. It's thin for a reason. It's like essentially an ink, an acrylic ink almost. And if you fill a watercolor marker with that, it will come out it'll come out of there and actually function. And it's got a nice pointy tip on it, and it's flexible, and you know, so on and so forth. But yeah, that was pretty nuts. Did you mention that earlier, Cal? You might have. I think it might be back in the chat. I was looking. I'm looking. I'm not finding it, but I'm sure it's in there. If you were talking about the speed paint markers, but I thought that was like, oh, if I could do that with standard acrylic paints, package it up, that would be like premium. I'd love to do that. But we'll see what happens when it comes to that. I'm not so far in the weeds with product development just yet here at PML. Wave of Mutilation finally found a local RPG group that plays Call of Cthulhu, and you're joining the action tonight. Good luck, Wave of Mutilation. You, I think Lord Farquaad from Shrek said it best. Some of you may die, but that is a price that I'm willing to make, or that I'm willing to pay. And that is kind of how you gotta run with your party. So I wish you the best of luck when you play your game of Call of Cthulhu tonight, because I think that's absolutely awesome. I had a wonderful time at the last game session I had. I'm actually due for another one. I'm due for another one, actually. It's good that you started talking about this. Keeps me on top of my schedule here. On the 17th, I've got another roleplay session. These are just one-off pickup games. I haven't committed myself to doing an entire campaign, though. Dungeon Minister says, I have a thought, but I need to look into it. Okay, cool. Oh, okay. This is your reply here. The big challenge is getting the pieces. Honestly, we should talk about that, and like maybe there's a way where it could be like a digital only thing, and then point them to the distributor. You know what I mean? So instead of selling the game for, $10 to $15 with the pieces, or however much it would cost you for the pieces, and then put stuff on top of that, you could just get, say, here are the pieces that are used to be played with the game. If you find something similar, use them as such, and then, publish it as like a PDF kind of thing, so you could focus on kind of the graphics part and like look of it. Which would also be really great too, because then you cut down on shipping costs and be like, yeah, you can, and it could be super easy. It's a print and play game essentially, in my mind, which was like, whew, that'd be great, because how many, there's probably tons of kids out there with these 10 grams, or there's easy access to it at any kid's store. So, let's see what's going on. Don't go insane, more insane. Yeah, Call of Cthulhu, you'll go insane really quick. Gameplay reparations. I love it. I played The End of the World Cthulhu. It was this RPG series called The End of the World, I believe. They had like 4 different modules. One of them was giant ants. Another one was Cthulhu. I think I also had just your standard run-of-the-mill apocalypse, and there was another one in there. But I played through The End of the World Cthulhu with a friend that ran it, and he was like super into the H.P. Lovecraft theme. And I'm telling you, it was the most bizarre, like, insanity-inducing storyline that I had ever, kind of experienced. Because I was very new at role-playing. I'd only played, like, Dungeons & Dragons a couple of times, so I kind of had an idea, like, how to do it. But he set up some bizarre, just truly bizarre horror of the mind style themes in there. That was it was just strange. Fish people that would come on land and they would nab people, and then apparently the people would show up like a week later and they were like totally fine. But eventually what they'd find people doing is like essentially boiling other people in stock pots and then throwing it in the lake. It was like because you play as your real life self, and that way it's an easy intro into role playing games for people. And yeah, he just went off the rails with some of these things. And the worst part is that some of it really wasn't too far fetched for like the real world. Some of it was definitely not, it was work of fiction, but I still have fuzzy memories about that game because most of them are repressed. The end of the world. Cthulhu. There we go. I can't spell Cthulhu. Alright. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, this was it. This company here, I'll throw it up on the screen. This one is a really easy pickup. The End of the World, Zombie Apocalypse, Wrath of the Gods, Alien Invasion, Revolt of the Machines. I think these might be a bit newer. I thought there was a Cthulhu one. Oh, it's in actually the Wrath of the Gods. Each one of these has like 3 different versions of the same kind of idea. Yeah, run-of-the-mill zombie apocalypse. Everything's falling apart. The zombies are gonna eat your brains. But it presents like 3 different, I guess, ways of this happening, where it could be like it's a virus and it's spreading to people, or it could just be that, the zombies it's being caused by people in a cult or something religious based, but they give you like 3 different kind of options that this could start from to get you on your way. And then Wrath of the Gods was essentially 3 different types of like cataclysms that could happen involving supernatural beings. One of them being Cthulhu, and you're trying to stop Cthulhu from, destroying the world. Other things of that nature. I can't quite remember what the other ones are. Alien Invasion also had the giant ants in it. That was part of it, I believe. But Alien Invasion was like, you had your War of the Worlds, giant ants are coming out and, gonna eat you. And there was like a third one that was kind of like the plot line for Independence Day, the movie films. And the last one was Revolt of the Machines, where you had like Terminator kind of storyline. You had rogue AI gone totally nuts and is just taking over all modern day equipment and machinery kind of thing and running amok. So it's good. It's really good. If you're, gonna introduce a group to some easy light role play stuff, this would be a good way to do it. Calvinoni survived the satanic panic. Gotcha. Just got some more Pro Acryl primer in. Very nice. I have an entire... How many bottles of primer do I have from Pro Acryl here? I got 3, 6, 9, 12, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 bottles of Pro Acryl primer behind me. I love this stuff, man. Especially their dark neutral gray. It is just, it is like, that's my favorite Go to. Dark neutral gray, baby. I'll stand by it. I'll stand by it. Cats and dogs living together. I don't think I saw anything like that in The End of the World, but it's a very good game. Published by Fantasy Flight, I think. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. Wasn't it implied that something from outer space caused Night of the Living Dead? That is a good question. Because Night of the Living Dead was a movie, right? One that I don't think I've seen. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one. That's like an old school... Yeah, 1968. It is old school. Yeah, that is old school. Night of the Living Dead. I gotta go watch that, to be honest. I kind of dig some of those old school like horror films because they ratchet the suspense up. They play off the suspense because they know they can't necessarily get away with the special effects. Poured way too much time into trying to make the Three Amigos gag work. And the gag was that it didn't work. You know, sometimes that's that is the best. Those are the best jokes, though. You know, that situational humor really pulls it along. I've got a friend of mine that I'm working with currently on a script we're writing for an audio drama that he's going to be doing some renders in a 3D engine of the characters and some of the poses. So essentially, it's an audio drama. The visual side will be essentially a slideshow. It's not an animation. It's not anything like that. It's just a slideshow to kind of keep the video part moving and like have some progression visually for people that do want to watch those things. But it's going to be a audio drama, and I'm really excited about it. It's set in the 40K universe, and essentially it's kitchen nightmares done by a chaos space marine who's akin to Gordon Ramsay, but just constantly roid raging 24/7, and he's trying to help restaurants succeed. And all of the restaurants that he visits are from various sub-factions of the universe, and it's so far it's pretty funny. Our first location is going to be called Papa Nurg's Pizza, and Nurgle is the god of death and decay, and so we're fleshing out a pizzeria based on pizza with 100% mortality rate, and that's one of the problems they're having is that they their customers are dying before they're actually spreading their pathogen, which is kind of what that faction wants to do, is just spread disease around. So I'm really excited about working on that, and we've got some great stuff going on. A lot of it is very situational comedy, though. I am trying to work on my running gag style, I guess, of comedic writing, but it's coming along. It's coming along. It's coming along well, though. So I'll be excited when we can drop the first episode of that and throw it to the wolves, so to speak, and see if we get a cease and desist letter or not. Absolutely terrifying when you see it in the early 70s. Yeah, I mean, there is something about those old school shows, though, and like movies too, like old school movies and stuff like that. Poltergeist still gives me the heebie-jeebies. The freaking like clown jester thing going on in the background, absolutely terrifying. I have a hard time with that. Holy man. Like, that movie scared me pretty good. So because I really wanted to watch that movie when I was really young. I was like, oh man, that like getting, I was still in the single digits, but really young, very impressionable. And my parents were like, okay, you can watch it on Halloween when you're older, like this year. We'll let you watch it for Halloween this year. So we watched that, and in order to have a palate cleanser, because they were like, he's gonna go to school and he's gonna get like freaked out that the poltergeist is around or whatever. They were like concerned that I was gonna have like traumatic, experiences with this. What's going on, Mini Warmutt? Carol Ann, come towards the light, Carol Ann. Yeah, so they were afraid that I was going to have traumatic experiences with that movie, so they followed it up the night after with The Sound of Music. What's going on, Sapphire? Good to see you. Yeah, they followed it up with The Sound of Music in order to palate cleanse me from Poltergeist. And I actually got nightmares from The Sound of Music. I'd never seen it before, but like, and who would get nightmares from The Sound of Music? But like, I had nightmares that that the Germans were gonna come and take my dad like in the middle of the night. Like, I don't know why my brain had connected so hard with that, but to this day, me and my parents still have a good laugh that I got nightmares from The Sound of Music instead of Poltergeist. Another kind of funny story involving old 70s movies was the other movie that I wanted to see that year was The Blues Brothers. Because my dad would be constantly playing all these old, like, he would always be playing these old, like, blues artists. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Howlin' Wolf, Johnny Lee Hooker, or John Lee Hooker, things like that. That was kind of like his central music genre. And he would reference the Blues Brothers every once in a while, and he had a T-shirt of the Blues Brothers. And so they were like, okay, you can watch the Blues Brothers because apparently The Sound of Music gave you nightmares. So let's just see what happens here. They were like, at this point, they were just having fun with it, trying to figure out what was like, what was going to traumatize me or not. And we watched their movie. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was hilarious. It was like the funniest thing, under the sun to me for like a long time. And I watched it like once or twice, I think, during that span of time. Well, let's move on to like the next year. It's Christmas time, and the pastor at the church is wanting to do volunteers for grace for this little church event that we have going on. And I was just at that age where it was like, yeah, pick Bill because he's the cute kid still, and have him say the grace. And for whatever reason, I wasn't coming up with any good grace words. Like, I had never really grown up with the like standard table grace. It was always just like, okay, speak from the heart and like do that thing. And which I still do today. Like, I think those are the best kinds of graces. But I got up in front of the entire congregation, and I remember saying, like, thanks for bringing us together, so on and so forth. I threw in a couple other things that was, like, about the holiday season and it being family. And then I threw in something about, like, going out and doing good works in the world. Because it's the right thing to do, and we're all on a mission from God. And I heard so many people in this church basement. They're all like trying not to die of laughter. Somebody leans over to my mom and was like, "Did he just quote the Blues Brothers?" And like, I did. I ended the grace with that. That was like, that was my, yeah, we had to cool it off of, off of more adult movies after that point in time. It was like, there was a lot of, Batman and other such shenanigans that would be a bit more kid friendly. Um, so yeah, are you now, am I now terrified of, um, penguins? No, I would love to go see the penguins. Um, yeah, so pork pie hat for sure, for sure. It was kind of funny. Me and a friend actually were dressed up as Jake and Elwood for um, uh, for Halloween one year, and that was pretty funny. That was pretty good. I was John Belushi though. I was a bigger kid. He was this tall, skinny thing, and I was short, fat, and squatty, all ass and nobody. Pardon my words. But yeah, so I went as John Belushi. Um, Blues Brothers line should be featured in more church services. Yeah, for real. Um, yeah, I know that was kind of crazy about how, especially what is it with stars and helicopters and airplanes? Like, they should just like fly American or something. Just not in a Boeing. Just take an airliner. Just take an airliner. It'll be fine. Um, but can I dance like Elwood? Well, I was Jake. I was Jake. He was. Well, I could kind of bust a move, but it's all good. It's all good. I do the painting, not the dancing anymore. Um, Chicago and Milwaukee. Yeah, that I it was kind of funny because like I recognized a decent amount of like the places that they had in the film sets because I like my dad's family was in the Chicagoland area, and like I kind of remember all like some of those places. Um, yeah, I suppose a lot of travel would definitely do that, and kind of up your risk exposure for sure. DM knows the ramp. There you go. Anyways, I hope you had a couple of laughs at my expense. I hope it was good. I hope it was good. Um, to those of you that are joining us just recently, I've kind of been talking on and off throughout the night to about kind of what happened with the firefighting stuff. I'll touch on it real quick for the newcomers. But yeah, I did fail my firefighting physical. Um, I was doing the 75-pound stair climb. I had 10 seconds left on that machine, and I tripped. It was literally like the thickness of the tread of my boot, uh, like hit the step, and I couldn't maintain my balance and like recover fast enough, and I was already basically a swinging pendulum because you're like top heavy, so um, that's kind of what happened there, and they got to treat everybody equally. So I got my one shot at the test. It didn't work out. I can try again next year, but I'm not gonna let it get me down, and I'm gonna kind of keep working on that dream. And I'll still do, I'll still do the workout streams to kind of maintain what I've got going so far. And to answer your question there, Miss Bella. Hello, Miss Bella. Good to see you. Good to see you. Uh, yeah, the are you able to retake it in the future? I sure am. However, I have to wait. Um, I would have to wait another year to take it, but you only get one shot, so I gotta wait a year. Or I can um, I can try and find another way in. Essentially, I would have to go through another department, or for me right now, it's kind of considering an academy. Um, and going down an academy route, which I went through like a college, so I got the certifications and all that stuff together on my own dime. In an academy, though, they pick you, they hire you, and you essentially go through like firefighter boot camp, where that is all you do every day, all day for like weeks on end, and it's like a very intense thing. Yeah, they put you like into training platoons or whatever, and like you get assigned your rig at the end, and wherever they assign you, that's where you go, and that's how you get paid and stuff. So, but I might end up having to go down that route. It's not the end of the world. None of this is the end of the world for me. This is something that I've been trying for like the last 4 years, on and off again, in various capacities, just because various life factors get in the way. It's really tough to kind of make a career change when you're already seated in a job and doing that, and then you're gonna be trying to go from essentially doing delivery and selling toilet paper to firefighting. So, but yeah, I'll be continuing the workout streams. I think I'm gonna take maybe like a week or two off and like eat bread, because I haven't had a lot of bread in like the last year. So I think I'm gonna like splurge with like a lot of pasta. I had a pizza the other night. I thought I had died and gone to heaven, like a takeout pizza. It was like, oh, things you miss on a very lean diet is like kind of nuts. I felt like Oprah. I love bread. I love bread. I love it. I do too, Oprah. I think we all love a little bread every now and then. How far afield can they send you in a fire academy? It's within a city, but like you don't get to choose where. So you might have a hour-and-a-half commute to your fire station. It might be 5 minutes from your house. Who knows? More kale, Bill. I was actually throwing kale and just about. I was eating a lot of kale. It was a lot of kale. I'd like to take a little break from kale, but I was definitely eating kale. I was throwing it in my smoothies mostly. Yeah, long term is a blip indeed there, Sapphire. I hear ya, I hear ya. Hey, very nice. I'm glad to hear it, Miss Bella. Great job. Great job. Keep up the good work. Just move. It's all good. Yeah, it is definitely the time of year to add carbs back into the diet. Yeah, Thanksgiving, that was really tough, because my test was on the 6th, and I was like, I will have 2 tablespoons of stuffing, but I went ham on the turkey. Well, that doesn't make that made more sense in my mind. Like that people say you went ham dinner on such and such, meaning you went all in. I went ham dinner on the turkey. That doesn't make quite as much sense, but there you have it. There you have it. Yeah. We have kale in the house all the time because the bunnies eat it. We have two dwarf rabbits upstairs. They run around like a cat or a dog, and then they have their own like litter box essentially. But we have kale in the house like all the time because they like to eat kale, cilantro, carrots, and then they got their usual hay and oat treats. We give them like oat treats. Yeah. Ham wrap turkey. Holy man. Now that is not a bad idea for Thanksgiving dinner. I'm not gonna lie. I would definitely go after ham wrap turkey. That's what my partner's dad would probably say. Yeah, kale is buddy food. That's buddy food. What are you doing eating buddy food? It's his thing. I've still got Bjorn here, or Balin, yeah. I've still got Balin here, their dungeon minister. I've still got Balin. He's on the chopping block. That might be a fun breakup on the weekend. I don't know. I might have to start a little work on Balin during the weekend, and get some layers on. I see the dungeon minister is into Rachel sandwiches. If I remember right, a Rachel is a rabbit sandwich. Um, yeah, I think Miss Bella's been working out on a walking pad, like a mini treadmill or something. At least that's what. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So I will have to like. I think it would be really fun. I'll have to put together a list, but I think it would be really fun to maybe do a stream in the near future here of doing PMLs, uh, New Year's resolutions or just like fun thoughts about things to do next year beyond some of like the large projects that I've got going already. That are like a plethora of, but um, I think it'd be kind of cool to talk and maybe brainstorm or just throw ideas back and forth on some fun things we could do in the new year because it's always fun um, to have some ideas and a brainstorming session to kind of generate some creativity and interest a little bit. I'm not sure if it did, Miss Bella. I'm not sure if it did. Yeah, I don't think it did for whatever reason. YouTube has been really slow with the comment, or not the comment, but the live chat for whatever reason. Recently, at least on my end, when I watch people, the live chat has been a little bit slow. I've noticed that quite often, actually. And it's kind of tough because you like type it out and then you don't see it for like 2 minutes, and they're already kind of past whatever they were talking about that you wanted to chime in on. Not only that, but there's the standard lag of them actually seeing whatever you're talking about too. Really? Really? Rabbits? Huh. Okay. I mean, all right. I wouldn't have thought about that. I wouldn't have thought about that. Yeah. Ha, ha, ha. So I recently took up Patreon. I took a Patreon. I don't think I'm gonna have a Patreon here for PML. Um, and I'm not sure I would necessarily go down that route. Um, just because I think it would be nice for you guys to get something in your hands should you want to support the show, which is kind of what the web store is all about, and kind of spreading the love around the community to people that make it cool and exciting, like the Dungeon Minister, um, which you can go ahead and check out for those of you in the replay who are watching, and then for everybody in the chat if you didn't know too. Uh, Dungeon Minister is affiliated here with PML, and you can see the all the affiliates here at the link you see right down there. You can go ahead and check them out and see all those fine folks, especially if you're looking for something to watch, because all these fine people are they work hard to make something that's really cool and interesting for you to watch around the webs. But yeah. I did the spiel about the web shop. Yeah. Oh, I went on Patreon and I subscribed to Zenith Entertainment. It's Bear the Genx GM. It's his Marvel-esque style superhero RPG game. Um, Man, does that guy write some lore. He has got. There is so much just kind of like lore bits intertwined with like the character sheets and things like that you can like read about in that game. It's really cool. It's really cool. He's doing a bang up job with the Patreon stuff. I'd love to subscribe to everybody, but I was like, I'll take a little stint and just kind of see how some of this Patreon stuff works, and kind of support him a little bit in his works to continue with making Zenith Entertainment Group his company keep turning. Oof. That's real tough. That is real tough. And a health coach via the VA to keep you accountable. Hey, having somebody there to keep you accountable is always a good idea. But the biggest person to keep you accountable is yourself. That was one of the things that I learned right away too. Was like, yeah, I got to keep myself accountable more than anything. Sorry, I'm just catching up with the chat here. I was off in La La Land talking about some of Bear's Patreon stuff. I really want to play that as well too. It's called Heroic. It's a really fun game that I ended up being able to play at Claricon. That's what kind of got me into it. What's going on, Hell Child? Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for coming to the stream. Cereal's cold soup. That makes sense, though. It makes sense. Cereal being cold soup really makes sense. That was, I hadn't heard that before, but I kind of just want to call cereal cold soup now. We're talking about midnight snacking. Daryl Arrett, welcome, welcome. Have you tried speed paint markers, and if so, do you like them? I've not tried speed paint markers yet. I kind of have the basic grasp and concept of what it is, and I did some research on it. We were talking about this just like a little bit ago, after I kind of had wrapped up painting what I wanted to tonight. Speed paint markers, the idea is really cool. And from what I've seen out there and their like implementation, they look like a good product. However, I think you could probably make your own homemade speed paint markers on the cheap and have it work out pretty well for you. Essentially, the product you'd be looking for are they're literally empty watercolor markers. And the reason why you'd look for watercolor over like a touch-up paint marker or a marker is because the watercolor specific ones that you can fill with your own custom colors, those ones have a flexible tip on them, and it's also very pointed. You can kind of see that in some of the product demos that I was checking out with these speed paint markers. But the nice thing with the empty ones is you can refill them. So you can buy 6 of them, refill them with your favorite speed paint colors, and save yourself a boatload of money. I'm not sure what kind of if the markers that these folks are selling are refillable, but I would hazard to guess they're single use. And if you could probably take speed paints and just literally throw them through a watercolor marker, and it would work out for you, just like what these guys got going. I was thinking about trying to do it with like standard acrylics, because I've got an entire wall of paint here that's just kind of, it's hanging out. Like I could fill them in markers and try and catch that bandwagon. But I think when it comes to speed paints, due to the fact that they're mostly like an ink, and they're pretty thin, that you could run that through a watercolor marker and be like super fine. That it's a very neat idea that they've come up with, though. Um, so, but I would definitely recommend build them at home. You know, make a little funnel on a piece of paper or whatever you want to use to kind of get them into these markers. But yeah, empty watercolor markers are, kind of what you would be looking for with that. Um, I think I have not tried speed paints yet, even. So I'm definitely no authority on it. I I feel like with some of the workup involved with doing speed paints, because like you could start with a white base and then go and do the speed paint process on it, where you would just get it right from the pot, put it on the model. But what you're kind of losing there is the really dark parts of the model. So you'd kind of want to do this zenithal effect with and you'd want to do it starting with like dark gray, a mid-tone gray, and then a white, and work your way up progressively to the point where now you have these like a rich monochromatic color scheme on your model, and then start doing your speed paints over it. But at that point, for me, I've got some practice with the airbrush, so it just seems, in my mind, I'm not sure if I would have the benefit of it. But if I was going to try them and like actually try and give some type of authoritative, review on it, I'd want to make sure that I got a decent range of colors, not just like, a couple of them. And I just haven't had the I guess the funds or whatever to go and get, a 12 set color of it. I would want to get like 12 of them, because I've got the entire range of Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl here. But I can tell you one thing, their white is thick, and I haven't seen them change that yet. It's a thick white. Like in a lot of paint companies, they have a thick white, and if you're gonna be if you're gonna tell folks that you're doing a substantial review on it, you'd want to come there and tell them, okay, well, here's, I had a problem with red, for example, this particular red. So that's part of the reasons why I haven't done the speed paint thing yet. Have a good night there, Dungeon Minister. Thanks for joining us. I hope you have a good time editing, and I can't wait to see what you put out. A nerd's nerd saw the markers, felt like they lost a lot of the benefits of speed paints, too dry and inconsistent. Yeah, I could see that kind of maybe being a problem. Definitely a lot less mess, though. I think speedball inks. Hellchild, does speed, like, are you talking about speed? Because I have speedball inks too. It's probably a totally different type of ink, but I have speedball inks for screen printing. So those are the kind of inks I'm used to. I didn't know did they make stuff for like pens too? I'm sure they do. It's speedball. They make dang near everything. Yeah, I think their idea is really good. I think if they took the speed paint formula and tweaked it so it was maybe even a little thinner, it might help. I thought about, heck, if standard acrylics wouldn't work through a watercolor marker, you know what would? Some of this stuff. Your good old GW Nuln Oil. Like, if I could buy a 5-gallon pail of Nuln Oil and just put it in one of those markers, like, would that do anything? Would people be interested in that even? Could I put, like, Army Painter Quick Wash through it? Could I throw Monument Hobbies wash through a watercolor marker? Like, the idea is pretty interesting, I have to admit, because a bottle like this from G-Dubs, the design of this in my opinion, kind of trash. I really hate these bottles. I love the washes. I hate these bottles because if for whatever reason you didn't close this cap just right and you accidentally like hit this, it's gonna go literally everywhere. You're gonna lose, and this isn't cheap. This is like $8, $8 or $9 for a bottle of wash from them. If you could just pour it into a into a watercolor marker, so it's less less fuss. What's the term? No muss, no fuss, something like that. Kind of solution for you. That would definitely be ideal. And yeah, acrylic inks would do it too. When it comes to that, I haven't played really around with acrylic inks. I do want to get a bottle of Speedball Red though, because I found this trick with a special brand of glue, and it's not anything new. But essentially, you take this UHU glue, you stick it on a toothpick, and you can, if you've got models that have big old knives, you can make it look like they ripped apart something just very recently, and it's still got gore kind of like spread amongst the claws or whatever. That's something that I've really wanted to try, so I'll probably end up using a little bit of ink for that, just because you need something that's gonna, you can't use paint. You're gonna need to use ink or something to tint the glue itself so that it dries almost semi-translucent. But yeah. So be on the lookout this weekend for a pop-up stream from me as we continue to paint on with our main kind of quest here with the Wolfenstein models from Weird World War II. We'll keep plugging away on those for kind of our usual stuff. But this weekend, if I've got some time to myself and I feel like painting, I'll pop on. We've got a couple of side projects that would be pretty quick and easy that we could do. I'm also kind of considering about maybe doing some taking from Lawrence's bit and doing some Paint Minis live crafting stuff with our PML laser cut trebuchet model that I showed off a couple of streams ago. Actually building that and maybe getting some primer on it and whatnot, getting it all sculled up and those things. I've just got a laundry list of stuff for PML. I really do. I've got to cut another catapult because I want to have one be like Horde of the Damnified, and then another one I want to have be kind of like a traditional catapult. And then I want to have. I also have been thinking about doing a recording. The basement down here, because the creation cave is in the basement. Chest freezer back there. Most of the time you'll see a Christmas tree, but it's actually up, so it's not in the studio. But we're in a basement down here. The rest of the basement does basement things. There's a lot of storage happening down here, so it's not like the coolest thing to show on camera, but I've thought about doing a live stream while I do a run of Paint Minis live t-shirts in the screen printing shop, quote unquote shop. It's just a table with all my screen printing equipment on it. But I've thought about doing that. I might do that this weekend. I definitely have to do it before Christmas, though, because there's a lot of family that are getting PML t-shirts for Christmas. Let's see what's going on with the chat. Caked on gore, red ink, and oval glue. There you go. Yeah, for sure. I think I really do want to try it, though. It's been a while since I've done a seriously, hideous paint job. I think the last ones have been the last ones that I did that were kind of gory and, did the thing where these plague marines from season like the first couple of episodes, but these guys turned out wicked. And I really want to do something like that again with the kind of bursting gore and stuff. It's just fun. It's fun. It's an effect that you can use that brings a little bit of interest to your models and whatnot. But these guys came out absolutely wonderfully, and I'd love to do something similar again. Let's see here. Chat, back to the chat. What's going on, Tonka Todd? Good to see you. Good to see you lurking while you're dealing with the dogs. All right. Well, thanks for being here with us. Much appreciated. Daryl says I have a 24 set of acrylic airbrush paints to try, with pearlescent and neon colors to try out. Isn't this Createx stuff by chance? I just shut down the camera that I'm showing this on, but is it that this like Createx stuff by chance? Not sure what brand you're talking about, but I started off with like Createx colors. That was kind of my stuff. No miniature painting experience hardly. Only have lead figures. Different than plastic? Not really. I'll explain that more in just a minute. Washer banging the grass background was your as you're washing your comforter. Not currently. I don't think the washing machine's actually going currently. But you might hear something, a bump or two on the stream. That's for sure when the washer is going. So, Daryl, if you have not like it sounds, we're just going to take it from no miniature painting, just period. Hardly sounds like you have kind of some idea, you know, it's a brush and a paint and you put it on the model. That's, you know, the name is Hexedpress. Okay, cool. So these airbrush colors, usually they're pretty thin. You might want to look into something like a, you know, this one I just picked up at my local shop. It's a bit less specialized, but you could use, you know, a universal, this one's from Aztec, but you could use a universal acrylic thinner. I personally choose an airbrush flow improver. This one's from Vallejo, but this, you know, you would have to go on like Amazon or something to find this. This is a convenience item. You can use water to thin most acrylics, which I would recommend too, but you can also run into like tip dry if you're going to be using airbrush paints like that. So I would recommend, if you are going to be airbrushing, which it sounds like, you know, if you're doing, let's see here, if you're going to be using that airbrushing set and you're going to try that out, just have some thinner on hand, and you only need like a drop or two, and then some flow improver, if you're able to afford it or can get your hands on it. If not, just use some water. That'd be totally fine. They're designed to be used out of the bottle, but you'll have to, it's a trial and error kind of thing. Use a sheet of paper to start with, would be my best advice. Like, practice with your brush just on a sheet of paper, or a practice model that you have that you really don't care about. Just something to kind of get the feel of how your paint flows, and how it comes out of the airbrush. You only have lead figures, different than plastic? No, it's not. It's really, at least in my experience, I have not had a problem with anything different with lead. I highly recommend you use a primer though. Here at PML, we use Pro Acryl. This is their Pro Acryl primer, dark neutral gray. You can paint this on if you want to with a brush, or I choose to airbrush the primer on, and I have the best results with that, especially with metal models. You have to prime them. There are some models like this. This model that the Dungeon Minister sent me, this kind of material, depending on if you know what you're actually looking at, and you can. It's kind of by kind of by feel, it's somewhat flexible, but this material here that comes out of a CO cast machine is basically ready. It's porous enough that the paint will stick to it, so you can kind of paint these out of the box. But I would highly recommend going through the priming process on a lead model. That will just help your paint job so much. And remember to thin your paints a little bit with some water if you're going to use a traditional brush. Those are some of the big things that I could probably hit on to help you with your start on your painting journey there. Createx Colors High Performance Reducer. Yeah, that reducer would do it. A reducer is basically a flow improver mixed with thinner, and you've got what you need for sure. Let's see here. Let's take some. We got more questions coming in. This is fun. I like this. I feel like I should do a clinic or something. Some kind of paint clinic would be kind of a fun theme to do some night. Let's check it out. We will check it out. There's Sapphire. I'm just looking it up here on Google. Sometimes I can tell what it's gonna do just based on the brand, or if they have like a spec sheet too. Homie Artie. Okay, you might. We'll let me share the screen here, and we can figure out if this is what you're talking about. Are you talking about these? Oh, let me get back to the main picture here. Are you talking about these paints here? Is this what X Arty airbrush paint? Let me know if this is what you're talking about. I'll give you 3 bottles of thinner with it. Which is that's kind of nice, depending on my airbrush got. Oh, okay, you got an airbrush and 30 paints with it. If this is the paint that came with it, I'm not sure. But that's the closest thing I could find to Homie Artie. Yeah, I'm not finding that specific name here, but yeah, 3 thinners came with it. Cool. Okay, so we'll take a look here at the specs. I'm gonna hide this. We're gonna make this real big. There we go. Okay. So we got it. They're talking about the colors. Formulated for easy spraying. It's water-based acrylic, so you can use water to thin it. And it's not toxic. It's not an enamel or anything like that, so you don't really have to worry about those deals. Use it in a well-ventilated area for sure. If you got it in a kit, they probably have figured out the needle size required for their paint, especially if they provided the airbrush. Yeah, okay, so they're recommending you thin this already. So they're selling you a concentrated paint. And you'd have to set your compressor I'm not sure what 20 liters a minute would come out to in bar, but I set mine, or PSI even, but I set mine at about 22 PSI. And that's what I spray. I think this stuff you definitely want to make sure you're kind of running the same PML formula where you're using thinner on this. I'll kind of get that a little bit bigger for everybody, but yeah, you're gonna want to thin your paints on with this set in particular. Do they have any idea on the specs for this specific brand of paint? I mean, you can make comes from China. Not huge surprise on that one. You can still get decent stuff from, you know, China. Get your premium Chinese, They offer a warranty on their paints. That's interesting. I mean, I think this would be, if he's painting models, this would be probably fine. I'm not seeing anything in here that's like, you know, their particular paints are gonna be caustic or eat into plastic. So I'd say give it a whirl. Just remember to thin it. You know, start with 2 drops of thinner in the bottom. Add a drop of water, throw in 4 or 5 drops of paint, and then you know, just like we do here on PML, bubble inside the color cup to mix. And I think you've seen me do that. Okay, airbrush was separate, but yeah, let me figure out how to get myself back on the screen here. There you go. But yeah, just like you've seen here on PML, when I take the airbrush and like I'll put the paint in the color, or the flow improver. So I'll take the flow improver or water or whatever I'm going to use, you know, put a couple of drops in there first, and then grab your paint and put a couple of drops in there, and then, you know, use your fingers or something at the end of your airbrush to like clog it, and then, you know, push down for air, pull back just a little bit till you get some bubbles start to form, and then you know, eventually after a couple of seconds you've got mixed paint in there ready to spray, and then just shoot whatever was in the channel that goes to the needle, shoot it off in, you know, on a paper towel or something, and then you can spray your color on whatever you want to do it on. Is your husband working specifically with like you know, model kits, or is this like, is he trying to do auto body work or something? Like, not quite sure on that part of it, but I can maybe give you a bit better direction on, you know, how to apply it, depending on that kind of information. But yeah, I wish you best of luck there, Daryl, with your mini painting on some lead figures. They're fun. Bill Sylvie's Grenadier Red Dragon weighed about 2 pounds, and manipulating that with my left hand made my wrist like ridiculously sore. So I hope these are smaller lead figures for you. I think you'll have a good time painting them nonetheless. Think should mix acrylic AB paint with thinner before loading in a watercolor marker, or just thinner than paint? Acrylic AB. I'm trying to think. Is that an acronym? Acrylic AB paint with thinner. I mean, I haven't tried anything with the watercolor markers stuff yet, so I couldn't really give you direction on that one. Oh, okay. So this is going to be a so it is your husband is going to be doing some essentially just model painting. It's just 3D printed. So yeah, yeah, so these colors I would hope would work out well. I have no experience with them, but from what I'm seeing here, they would work just fine as any other model color paint. Um, the only thing that I would kind of be, you know, yeah, it would work just fine for hobby application like that. Uh, AB airbrush. Hmm. Yeah, I really can't speak to that. Uh, let's look up AB airbrush paint. Like Apple Barrel, like the brand, maybe? AB airbrush. Hmm. Oh, no. That's not it. Your youngest is going to be painting with it. Okay. Well, yeah, I would say that paint would work out. Make sure you're well in a well ventilated area. I have a spray booth here at the studio that I use for indoor painting. Um, airbrush. Oh yeah, acrylics and airbrush paint thinner before loading it in a watercolor marker. Um, I would mix it outside of your marker if you're gonna really try that. I would mix it outside the marker and then put it in. So like put your put your thinner down because you want to know how much thinner you're putting in your paint. It's like booze. Like if you're gonna make a cocktail, uh, and you're not crazy, or like you're trying to measure yourself. I guess not crazy, but like yeah, I'm guilty of it. But like if you were to make a cocktail and you've got like Dr. Pepper and rum or like whiskey or something, uh, you crack the can and you put it in the cup first. You fill it with Dr. Pepper and then you start putting, the whiskey in. You're not gonna know how much whiskey is in there. Let's take a shot glass out of the equation. But like you're not gonna know how much is in there, right? It's the same thing goes with thinner. You get much more consistent results if, like in my analogy with the cocktail, you were to put the rum or whiskey in the cocktail first and then put the Dr. Pepper in the cup. Because now you know that you have two fingers of whiskey in the cup first, and that is how much you're going to consume. It's the same thing with thinner. Put thinner or like flow improver. Thinner is going to get your paint exactly that. It's going to get it thinner. So use it sparingly. Use water more as your aid, like flow aid though. So I would start with water, and if that's not working for you, add a little bit of thinner. Which is why I suggested 2 drops of water, 1 drop of thinner kind of deal. That's that there's your formula to start with. But what you're looking for is just to get it to a consistency that it will come out of the airbrush. When you add thinner too, you end up you can run into problems with dry tip, where the paint will actually dry on the needle, because not only are you throwing paint behind it, and the paint is very thin, but if it's not coming out, if you're taking long pauses in between stuff, the paint will start to dry on the needle. You'll have to clean that with like a Q-tip and some thinner or something. That's how you clean that clog that's happening there. But and it doesn't happen too often if you thin your paints correctly. So okay, water first, then whiskey. Yeah, right, Daryl. But yeah, so make sure you put your thinner in your color cup first before you spray. That's yeah, give it a shot. Coming right out of the bottle, see what happens. If it works for you right out of the bottle, that's what works for you, and just like go ham dinner with it. If you need some thinner though to actually get it to spray evenly, because you're looking for like an even spray pattern. when you go and test it out. As long as it's not spluttering all over the place and you're getting, kind of a very tight spray pattern, and the consistency there, you've got yourself the right formula for spraying it down. A lot of it's trial and error. I'm not gonna lie. It's a decent amount of trial and error. Just a little bit though. It's not crazy. You'll get through it pretty quick. I suppose. Whenever I cross the bridge into Wisconsin, man, that's true. It's very subjective unit of measurement over there in Wisconsin. The fingers, but yeah, I hope you kind of got my analogy there. I think your youngest. I'm not sure how old they are, but I would again caution them at the tip of that thing. That needle is gonna be really, really sharp. So maybe you have dad mix the paint the first couple of times until they get the the hang of it, and just like make sure they're using like a makeup sponge or something to protect their fingers, because I'm telling you, whether you're cleaning it or like you're plugging it to do kind of the quick bubble up paint mix that I do. You can mix that with a brush too. Don't be afraid. If you don't like the idea of handling that sharp needle or being anywhere near that sharp needle, get yourself a nice throwaway big old brush, go down in the color cup and just mix it up. Mix it up real quick. That's all you got to do. You don't even have to do what I do with that. Oh, she's 15. Okay, cool. Well, that solves the problem. Still be careful, but if we were talking about like a 7 or 8-year-old kid or something like that, I'd be a bit more cautious. But yeah, don't mess around with the needle part of the airbrush. I've stuck myself with it, and it'll go all the way deep down into the bone, and that does not feel good. It leaves you sore for days, and your finger just aches from that wound. So always make sure to use caution around your tools. You'd be cautious with a sharp kitchen knife, wouldn't you? So be cautious with a sharp needle. She loves to sew. Well, now, we're talking. She's prepped for mini painting. She's prepped for mini painting. So, yeah, the safety course is kind of a no-brainer on that one. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I wish you well, Daryl, on your painting adventure. If you have any other questions, or you just you're stuck with something, feel free to let me know. You can put it in the comments section, or heck, you can come join the Paint Minis Live Discord too. I think it's in the description. It should be anyways. But come join the PML Discord. Ask your questions there. I'm free and open. I love painting, and I want other people to experience the joys of painting, if you will. I know that's not my slogan, not something I can hang my hat on, but Bob Ross had it right, just to experience the joy of painting, because it is really fun. It is a work of self-creativity, and also patience, and so on and so forth. Just remember to enjoy the journey. It's not always about the destination. Sometimes it's about the journey itself. And tonight I was aiming to get through like 7 or 8 models. I only got through 4, but that's kind of what I was feeling. That's what I wanted to do, and that's the pace that I wanted to set for myself. And what I got done was what I got done. So that's but I enjoyed the journey. I have people to chat with. I know there's some folks that come in here, and like Calvinoni will be painting. I think, what was he painting today? I'd have to go way back in the chat, but Calvinoni was painting up like zombies or something, like very small zombies maybe, I thought. Yeah, he was doing undead in like 15 millimeter scale. That was the models he was working with. And so I know folks like to, they'll come over here and paint with me here on PML, and like that just tickles me pink. Like, I just like all that stuff. I'm a nerd. What can I say? And thank you for the compliment, Miss Bella. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's rolling around 11 o'clock here. I should probably be heading out pretty quick here, but if anybody else has any final questions, thoughts, queries, or other such shenanigans, throw them in there. We'll tackle it real quick. But I think I'm probably gonna get off in the next like 5 minutes here. But I just wanted to reconnect with you guys. It's been it's been kind of a bit of a spotty schedule with painting. I did do quite a streak there for a little bit. I'm hoping to keep that up. The firefighting training kind of threw that a bit for a loop, but we'll try and keep a bit of a consistent schedule around here because I like hearing from you all. I get to know you, just like Sapphire and yeah, hearing about how the youngest loves her fighter. That we painted up for her. I like that model. I think that's a really good model too. I'm not sure who produces that metal female fighter, but I like that one. It's a really cool pose, and I'm really happy that she likes it, and I hope she's having wonderful adventures at the tabletop with it, because that is just that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Daryl says, my little bro was into figure painting in the 80s, big time, passed away, and I appreciate the encouragement. Well, first off, I'm sorry for your loss, but well, I'm sorry for your loss, for starters. Secondly, I should say, figure painting in the 80s was a totally different game. I believe mostly what was available around then was like enamel paints and stuff for like railroading, people who were into like model railroads or like car kits and stuff. That stuff I have a really hard time working with, and I have an entire drawer of enamel paints, and these, like, none of these have been open. I just like they are really not my favorite media to work with. They stink. They're hard on equipment. It's not my favorite. But I'm sure that some of the figures that came out of your little bro's collection were quite awesome. And just the fact that the fact that they managed to get through with all those enamel paints is big respect there. Big respect there. I think I personally only use one other enamel product like on a regular basis, and that's like Streak and Grime. I don't think I have it handy actually. I might have it handy. Well. No, it's gonna just decide that it's gone to whatever corner of the bin that I hold it to. But yeah, Streak and Grime, it's just like a kind of an effect paint, and that's enamel based. I use that kind of sparingly because I'm not a huge fan of the smell. In the 80s, I made and painted plastic military fighter jet models. Your favorite movie was Top Gun. Yeah, I started, like, my very first model, that wasn't tabletop oriented, was a Douglas Tomcat, I think? McDonnell Douglas Tomcat. I might be wrong. No, that's the wrong name for that plane, totally. It was a... yeah, it was a Corsair, sorry. Wow, how did I mix that one up? Yeah, the F4U Corsair, kind of this blue bent wing plane. And I tried painting that with some paints that came in the kit, It was a blue catastrophe. The decals were horribly misaligned, but it was like really fun. I liked playing with it and like pretending that I was flying it around. Because my grandfather actually painted models. And I never learned any model painting from him, but I always saw the finished product. And like he painted models of planes that he landed in Okinawa, Japan during World War II. He was an air traffic control operator, and he would paint up planes that he would remember landing on the airstrip. So various like cargo aircraft, bombers, you name it. I think at one point, I can't remember. I'll have to ask my mom about it, but he had some fun stories of people that would take him up in the planes from the base itself, just for like fun rides. But he would paint those, and that was the first model I ever painted. After that, I got into the 40K scene, which is a totally different story. But I think that is the time that I have tonight for streaming and chatting and being live with you all. Thank you all for being here and watching to the very bitter end. I look forward to seeing all of you hopefully Friday night, but just go ahead and do the whole YouTube shenanigans. You know what buttons to press if you want to see me and get notified of when I plan on going live next. But it's always a pleasure to reconnect and to see you all. And thanks again for all of the encouragement and kind words regarding the whole fire test stuff. I do appreciate it. It gives me motivation to kind of keep going with it because it is a passion of mine, but I do know that it's kind of an arduous journey to get there. Yeah, and thank you to all of our affiliates and the Academy. Thank you to the Academy, so to speak. But yeah, take care, everybody. Be safe, be happy, be healthy, and we'll talk to you again real soon. All right, take care. Bye-bye.